So we have a problem. Yeah, we do. So this is supposedly Charlie Kirk's father's company in Arlington Heights, Illinois. Okay, that's been around since 1988. The problem is that well, there's no evidence it's really done anything at all ever. Yeah. So first of all, there's these sites, and they're all secondary sources. Some of them Baptist, by the way. Like, if you look up at when you go to search something and the articles come up. So these secondary sources that are saying that Charlie Kirk's dad, who was an architect, was an architect for Trump Tower. That's not true. Well, Charlie Kirk's never said it, but he certainly has his people out there helping to push that, doesn't he? Yeah, because you'll find that in a lot of articles, but it's not true. There's no evidence there. When you look up who the project managers were for Trump Tower, whether it was Chicago or going back to New York, Trump Trump Tower there is no Robert Kirk, and him being the project manager. But however, Charlie Kirk himself has said that his dad was Robert Kirk and that he owned an architecture company. Well, this is it. I mean, Arlington Heights isn't that big. I've looked, okay? But the problem with this one is that it says here that there is limited evidence of Group A architects' work beyond their own claims. Yeah, the Better Business Bureau lists Group A architects as a business in Illinois with Robert Kirk as president, and notes the firm has been in business since 1988, but the Better Business Bureau does not have sufficient evidence to show that they've ever done anything. Okay? So red flag. Okay, they have you can't. And that's why I was saying the other day that I came across this site looking up his dad to see, like, okay, so what has he done? And they didn't even have years listed. They had listed Trump Tower, and then they had listed a hospital, Good Samaritan Hospital, but they said it was in Hinsdale. I live in Illinois. I know where the Good Samaritan Hospital is. It's in Downers Grove. It's not in Hinsdale. So how could you be the architect behind Good Samaritan Hospital, and yet you don't even list the right town, nor were there any years? So this is all a ghost company. Why? To help hide who Charlie Kirk's real dad is. Because I finally decided I'm going to ask ChatGPT. And it said Charlie Kirk's father is Paul G. Kirk. He is known for being the founder of Turning Point USA, a conservative organization aimed at promoting free markets, blah, 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 blah. Okay? What you need to know about this that's very important for MAGA is that he was briefly a U.S. Senator for Massachusetts, just for 1 year, to take over for the grumpy, always angry Ted Kennedy. Yes, Ted Kennedy, who was, like, I don't know, born in the Congress and then died there too. Yeah. So he took over his spot temporary for like 1 year, Paul G. Kirk. So Democrat, do you hear me? Democrat. Yep. Vice President Joe Biden swears in Kirk as Senator John Kerry looks on. Well, yeah, because they're all Democrats. All Democrats. He headed up the DNC, too, at one point. But there's more. Because what's important to know about Paul G. Kirk Jr. is who Paul G. Kirk Jr.'s father is. And this is Paul G. Kirk Sr., Paul G. Kirk Jr.'s father. Yep. Was an American jurist who served as an Associate Justice of the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court. You see it, you connecting all the dots now. But there's more. Cardinal Archbishop of Boston was the uncle of Paul G. Kirk Jr. From 1859 to 1944, he was the American Cardinal of the Catholic Church who served as the Archbishop of Boston. From 1907 until 1859 was when he was born. So he served as Archbishop of Boston from 1907 till his death. Yeah. So he married JFK's father and Rose Kennedy. And again, he's the uncle of Paul G. Kirk Jr. All the Democrats, all out of Massachusetts. I mean, like, so the reason this is important, well, it's important on many reasons, because there's nothing factual to line up. And still don't know who. I mean, if Paul G. Kirk, like ChatGPT says, is Charlie Kirk's dad, and I would guess it is, because this Robert Kirk out of Arlington Heights and this architect company, it doesn't. That Robert Kirk, the president of Group A Architect, there's no evidence of them ever doing anything. They just show that they've been listed since 1988. And Trump, there's nothing in any Trump documents showing that that company nor Robert Kirk did any architect work for Trump Tower. Charlie Kirk was introduced by a Doug Deason, some Republican, who knows. He introduced him to Trump, okay? But you know what? This is ridiculous with this guy, okay? I'm sick of his bullshit. But then look at how RFK Jr. treats women. So this doesn't surprise me. The Kennedys had a history of treating women like shit. Ted Kennedy himself, driving drunk, drove off, what is it, Chippewa Bay or whatever, with some woman, some unknown they figured out who the female was, but some female he shouldn't be with, drives off into the lake drunk, gets himself out of the car, gets out of the lake and goes home, doesn't even attempt to save her. She just dies, gets away with it. So the Kennedys kind of have a history of being, abusers to women. So then it doesn't surprise me that Charlie Kirk is too. Because this whole right wing is. I'm not talking about Trump, but the far right radical group. They're very, but RFK Jr. has been known. I mean, people say that he told his second wife to kill herself. He pushed her to it. I wouldn't doubt it. He's been known to be verbally abusive. Anyway, but putting that aside, so just some things you should know about this guy. Okay. Well, one, it sounds like really what the Catholics wanted to do. And again, you have to remember, I remember reading about this. I mean, I wasn't alive, of course, then. It wasn't alive when JFK was president. But I do remember hearing throughout, history or whatever, that there were Christians were concerned about JFK taking presidency because he was a Catholic. Because again, many people fled that. Everybody says, they fled the Church of England. That wasn't the only thing they were fleeing. The Catholic Church was doing a lot of pagan practices. Sorry, Catholics, but it's the truth. It's the reason Christians had issue with it. Am I saying it's right or wrong? I'm just saying it seems like a bunch of crazy stuff seemed to happen around this time. So, and he made statements about, he said in 1908, the Puritans have passed, the Catholic remains. So they just came over here. They weren't being, they claimed this persecution. They came over here just because they wanted to dominate the Puritans and everybody who truly was trying to behave Christianly. Because they even though people had issue with the Church of England, they had issue with the Catholic Church because they didn't let go of any of their pagan practices. So I'm not going to argue with Catholics about it. The other thing he had said, he had told all of his priests that they can refuse communion to women wearing lipstick. Yeah, that's nice, isn't it? But that's back in a different day. And yeah, he married Joe Kennedy Sr. and Rose Kennedy Fitzgerald. In fact, Joe Kennedy was having an affair with this actress, Gloria Swanson, and he went and told Gloria Swanson to leave him alone. He opposed child labor amendment. He advocated to push, the Catholicism be, the main, not that it be the main religion, but that he had a big influence. So the Catholics, the Kennedys, and the Kirks. So that's because you can't find one photo with Charlie Kirk and his parents, so nobody knows who his parents are. As far as a picture with them. In fact, even with his wedding, that was just couple of years ago, no wedding pictures. It was such a small ceremony. Yeah, because he's tied to a huge Democrat party. He's hugely tied to the Democrat Party. Again, Both radical sides just want control of us.